All right, I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. It's November 20th, 2019. It's 7:01 p.m. We're going to do a roll call here. Andy Yale.
Smith.
Brendan Edelman.
Yep.
Nate Stacy.
Present.
Cliff Krolik.
Present.
And Rick Sullivan. Present. All right, so we have a quorum. We won't be needing an alternate. We'll start with reviewing the minutes from the site walk. Give everybody 2 minutes to go over that.
One. You won't need the alternate me, but I do still can make comments, correct?
Sure, yeah, just, I mean, we're supposed to treat the alternate like a member of the public. We'll allow you to have comments, but, as far as direct involvement in the rest of the meeting. Everybody good with minutes? Still in minutes? You good with minutes? Good. All right, so I make a motion that we accept the minutes from the sidewalk as completed. Andy, did you second that? All those in favor? All right, so the minutes have been completed. Okay, so before we start, I see, Miss Lane, I see you're here. The Watson Wood people aren't gonna be here, so you're welcome to stay for the Moreau, but there's nothing that we'll be addressing as far as Watson Woods go tonight.
Oh, okay, I appreciate the update. I might stay for a little, just, you know,
Sure.
hang. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so next I think we should, at least I will address some of the concerns of a couple of the abutters from the sidewalk. So I see you requested a couple of recusals. I'm going to start by saying no, I will not recuse myself. You had a problem with some of the things I said. I think what I did is I made an attempt to mediate, which I will not do again. Well, I will only adjudicate, but when I said forget about, you know, what I said, I'm not sure where you're going with that. I just didn't think it was the right time to continue that discussion. So I really not sure why that was such a problem. I definitely, the reaction I got from both of you told me that that was not the place to continue that discussion. So when I said forget I said anything, that's all I meant. As far as Board Member Yale, I'll give him a minute to address the accusations against him if he would like to.
Yes, I would. So I did indeed arrive early on at the site. I don't know, it was a few minutes early. I was wondering, you state that you overheard a conversation. Do you have a transcript?
Actually, I have a recording, yeah.
You have a recording of our conversation.
Yeah, that's the ironic thing, Mr. Yale, is I can hear everything, including an auto garage. And I can hear voices, I can hear talking, and I did hear you speak about parking, about three-phase, the lift going up and down.
Yeah, that's right.
So, yes, I did hear partially some of your conversation, which was outside the confines of the other board members. And that's all I'm gonna say. If you have anything else?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, I did speak, I'll tell you exactly what I spoke to Roger about.
I don't, at this point, it doesn't matter, because I wasn't there, and nobody was there, just you and Mr. Moreau. So
But you say you have a recording of it.
I have a partial, yes.
I'm not sure how I feel about somebody recording my conversations without my knowledge. However, that's another issue. I'm not going to recuse myself because I did not speak about anything substantiated with him. I talked about his lift. We talked about the difference between a Saab 900S turbocharged and a Saab 900S
We'll see it.
normally aspirated.
Okay.
In addition, I find it difficult that you guys would impute to me a level of dishonesty, which is what, you know, as well as to impute it to Rick. So I think this whole,
How was I dishonest?
because it, well, okay, let's leave it there. I'm not gonna recuse myself.
I don't think it has anything to do with dishonesty. It has to do with the legal rules of how we're supposed to act outside. Even, you might say hello and until everything. That's all it has to do. It has nothing to do with what you said.
Like
You
leave
could
it
ask
here,
about
okay?
a car or something, you know, how that works, and
Okay.
maybe made a comment, but you can't talk. That's what it says in order.
I have trouble with the fact that I can't exercise my natural friendliness with my neighbors.
No, not on a sidewalk. It's a legal thing.
Well, yeah, I think
It's a legal thing because people don't know what you're talking. They don't know. I'm not attacking you
I
for what you did.
understand, I
I'm just saying
understand the
that we
concept.
can't.
If I had talked to him about the actual application, I would consider that I had ex parte.
No. The point in fact is that
okay?
there's a legal rule that until everybody's present on the sidewalk, you can't talk at all. You might say hello.
I don't know that that's.
I think that's the rule, but I'm done. I made my statement.
Okay, so I think we've addressed that. Maybe not to everybody's satisfaction, but as much as we're going to address it tonight. So we need to move forward and review this application. All right. Any suggestions on where to start here?
Well, I guess I'm gonna start with the sidewalk. I'm thinking,
Well, I mean, yeah, and there's this massive
document that we need to go through.
Yeah, no, I don't think we can spend all of our time refuting every point brought up by an abutter. We've done that before.
But this packet does contain some
Sure.
factual information.
Yep, and we can
important.
address that, but to go through every single point on an 80-page document, we've been there before. We've done this with abutters, and we cannot let abutters dictate the pace and direction of this. There's a process, ma'am, there's a process open to abutters. There will be a public hearing for you to speak your mind, and then if you feel the board is wrong, there's an appeals process open to you. Right now, this process is for the applicant. We will take consideration to what your concerns are, but you can't dictate the pace and direction of
And
this
when is
process.
that concern gonna start?
We haven't even begun discussing it yet.
Yeah,
All
what
we
you're
did, all
doing
we did
now-
was get the first
I know, he has
application.
already told me at the sidewalk that he had made up his mind what was going to happen.
Okay, I'm gonna address this one more time. That is a mischaracterization of what I said, and I do not appreciate that. You are misconstruing what was said to you, and you're trying to enter it in public record. That's wrong, that's not what I said. I did say that how could we make this work? That's what I said. That was a general
You gotta
attempt.
talk a little lower.
Excuse me, no,
You gotta
Cliff,
be
Cliff.
calm.
Cliff.
Stop.
People can't hear when you start screaming.
No, everybody can hear what I say if you stop interrupting me.
Oh.
I made a statement saying, what can we do to make this work? It was a poor attempt at getting some consensus. I won't do it again. I will not. We will only adjudicate. There will be no mediation, there will be adjudication. So now we're gonna go forward with this process. If you feel that the board has wronged you in any way or we made a wrong decision, there's an appeals process open to you. Now, having said that, so where should we start on this?
Well, I mean, initially, I'd like to start with just, reaction and discussion from the sidewalk.
Okay, right.
Because, there's a lot,
Sure,
there's a lot of stuff there. I mean, there's a lot of questions, there's a lot of issues,
Right.
a lot of issues.
One of the things I know, I made it my business to go around town and look at some other similar shops located in village residential areas. There's a number of them. The one thing that makes this particular application unique is the shared driveway. And that seems to be the major bone of contention. In addition, there's something raised in here about a change of use requires a permit from the state for the driveway entry, because it's a state aid road. And that requires the permission of the landowner, which I assume would be Ms. Wilson. So, basically what I'm saying is one of the major things we need to thresh out is the access.
Access, yeah. Access, I mean, I guess, but number one on the list is access.
Yeah.
I agree with that, yeah, definitely. I wanna talk about the access. I have a lot of questions.
So we would maybe direct questions from that to,
Where's Jesse?
he said,
I don't know, I'm just.
no, I don't know if that question would go to Jesse, but,
Well, just as far as anything that's not, I mean, I would be curious, like, what isn't in compliance, if there is, or, as far as with the driveway.
right.
But we want to go through, talk about access now, we can go through a list.
Yeah, no, yeah, whatever you got.
What else, Nate, you wanna add anything?
I mean, access is definitely something I want to talk, I'm
So-
sure with that.
We saw you guys took some measurements, it was,
I was just trying to get a sense of like, where things were in relation to one another. I mean, I know at the culvert, it was 12 feet.
right.
But beyond that, there's no, that culvert is on his property.
So, would that be considered a rear lot? So, under rear lots here, general provisions, a rear lot that meets size requirements but is accessible only by a right-of-way that does not meet the width requirements may be used for a single dwelling or other single permitted use, provided the right-of-way existed at the effective date of this ordinance.
Single permitted use.
So does that constitute a single permitted use?
So, along with that is what's the other property, the last name there?
The trailer?
Yeah,
Gilbert.
Gilbert. When was that? Do anybody know when that trailer ended up there? Is that, how long has it been there?
Right there.
This Mr. Gilbert's been there for a long time.
How
Not
many,
that long.
how many years is it?
Excuse me.
Can we?
Hey, no, we're not, none of this,
asking
not gonna happen.
questions.
You direct your questions to the board.
You're Mr. Gilbert?
Yes, I am.
How long have you had the trailer there?
Here. That trailer, we bought it from some other guy.
So you purchased it that way?
But before him, there was 2 other owners there. That trailer, that one guy, that trailer's been there for 15 years.
The one that was in my other house across the street. And that was over 10 years
I
ago.
beg to differ, but the trailer has not been there for 15 years.
Okay, so we're gonna have to have some order here. If you can object to things, but we're gonna need you to raise your hand, you're gonna have to be called on. I can't deal with just everybody jumping in.
Alright, so if and the access to that trailer is on this driveway? Here. So how did that happen? Jesse, you got any thoughts on that?
Right away.
Right away?
Yeah.
Could you elaborate on that? What
Yeah,
that
I mean,
mean, yeah, what does that mean, just right
A
away?
right of way is just what it is, it's a right of way. Anybody can use it, abutters can use it, landowners can use it.
Doesn't the right of way have to be given to the person though?
Everybody owns a piece of the right of way, yes.
Is your lot,
Is there a maintenance agreement between all the abutters for that right of way?
We don't know, huh?
Who maintains the right of way?
We all do.
You all share in that.
Pretty much.
Is there something in writing on that?
No.
It's just
Just what we
Sorry.
do.
Okay, Ms.
Yes.
Wilson?
The trailer was originally put on there by Morris Reed's brother-in-law. There was no actual transfer, it just appeared. I spoke about that at the site visit. I said, to my knowledge, there were never any, legal permits or anything else. No one ever approached me about a shared right of way. It was just, he came in the summer, he originally put the trailer down by Morris Reed's cabin and then eventually cleared enough trees to put it on that lot. When his wife died, his last name was McDonald, when his wife died, he put it up for sale, and by that time, it had been there maybe 3 or 4 years. He had come up 1 season, maybe even 2 seasons after his wife died and sold it. There was never anything legal or anything that was discussed with me as the original landowner that had the bulk of the right of way. It just went from being a seasonal residence to all of a sudden, someone else showed up there sporadically. And that was the extent of it.
is do we know, what's the history on that, the lot? Is that part of the Reed lot
It was-
too, at the time that was put on, did we know, to the
It
best
was
of
part of
anybody's
the
knowledge?
original 11 acres that when the property was divided, it was part of what Morris kept.
Can you say how long do you think roughly? Best guess?
I would say it might be 10 years, but Morris has been gone. It was,
I got paperwork saying it was longer than 10 years. They did the title search and everything else.
Well, I'm just trying to figure, like, for me, these access thing, I mean, as much as we're not gonna be able to sort out the, like, legality of an easement, I'm just trying to understand, I mean, because there are ordinances that fit into this now, if there's, because, obviously, there's nothing that says what the width of the right of way is, okay? It's just for access to a dwelling, Jesse, so that's gotta be 12 feet, I mean, it has to be 12 feet.
Minimum of 12 feet for a
But
dwelling,
if
yeah.
it services 2 dwellings, then it's gotta be 15.
They're servicing 3.
Well, yeah, but I mean, only for the first certain, you know what I mean? At some point, it only services 1 again, so it can get, do you know what I mean? I'm just trying to figure out what the assumption is.
Do we know the length of that driveway from the road to your house?
It's on the map total.
Does your deed specify anything about the right of way?
Yes.
It does. Does it give a footage of how wide the right of way is?
No, yeah, it's pretty ambiguous, you know, it just says the right of way, you know, which,
You know,
You read, you know, just recently, just a couple of moments ago, access.
that was under rear lots in our general provisions, Article 1.
And that would be a rear lot, wouldn't it?
I think so.
So I think we have to take that into consideration, and we also should take the fact that we're in a historic village location into consideration.
Right.
And
But that doesn't preclude, and, you know, I mean, this is kind of getting into individual interpretation, right? Like we're saying, all right, well, we need to maintain rural character. Well, who says rural character means, you know, I think that we're
well,
there.
there's a lot of
people
people
looking for
that
bucolic
live in town
characters.
that do want to maintain rural character.
Indeed, but an auto garage doesn't go against rural character.
An auto garage doesn't. However, although I wasn't on.
let's keep on access. if we
No, I
can,
know.
yeah. Let's
Right.
keep on
Okay.
access.
Right,
We can
right.
get there.
And all night.
Well, so I mean, so that's my whole thing, is, you know, what's, you know, it was all back lot at one point. But yeah, it was all back lot, but now it's 2 back lots, okay? What I'm saying, so at one point, access was given for a rear lot, which would be a 12-foot driveway.
Right, but it also, if I finish reading what it says here,
Yeah, go
you know, where it said, single permitted use, provided that a right-of-way existed at the effective date of this ordinance or amendment, and that a wider right-of-way cannot be negotiated with abutting landowners, and that all other relevant provisions of this ordinance can be met. So, I'm wondering, if it is a rear lot, would that fit under the definition of single permitted use? That I don't know.
Oh, I mean, it's a permitted use.
Yeah, it's a permitted
Okay.
use for, and that's in essence why, you know, starting where we are.
What would it do, I mean, what would it mean if what would it mean if it was a plural?
Right.
He's gonna do one thing, I mean, maybe we need to get some guidance on that, but just common sense use of language suggests that he's putting in a garage, that's a single use.
Right.
What's the residence, I'm sorry?
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, you're having 2 uses now. And you've got a
Well, that's my
business
question,
garage, and then you've got a
Is it still
home.
gonna be a residence?
Yeah, I think the whole.
If it was
Like,
only a garage down there,
Right,
that's a single
right.
use. If it was only one type of business down there and no one also lived down there,
Then it might fit the
dual
definition.
use, because you're basically saying it's a residential lot
Right.
with a business attached with it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's what that ordinance
that wouldn't, you know, if it's gonna be
Because
still used as a principal dwelling.
Being a
unit,
rear
that's
lot
not
to me has been the
Right.
biggest thing that really sticks out.
Because again, you could have then 2 different things, a business and a house, and now you have a different, the idea that it's one principal dwelling or one principal use.
Right, yeah.
Not
You
both.
know, not 2,
Yeah, okay.
okay, I don't know, I mean, that's, you know.
I mean, I'm all in favor of encouraging small business, but we have to take into consideration the location, village, historic village residential. However, I wasn't on the sidewalk, however, I did go to Google Earth and I zoomed in real close and it looks like there's an awful lot of auto salvage there that doesn't sound to me like is a small garage or repair shop.
I didn't see anything there. We were there on the sidewalk.
At the time of the sidewalk.
I didn't see anything.
I saw some,
But those are, I mean, that's, again, those are other questions too, I mean, it's, you know, like I said, I wanted to try to go through like one thing at a time, you know,
somebody's hand up over there.
yeah. On the access.
Yeah. Well, as far as access goes, I mean, if we're determining that if there were a dwelling and a garage, and that's not single permitted use, then we're stuck on access.
Well, that's right, and then, you know, if a second primary dwelling began to use this right of way,
Right.
that at some point, like, that's not, you know, I mean,
Yeah, I don't know, I mean.
I don't know where that fits in, because that's, at that point, that's more of a code violation than anything else. CEO, right?
It's kind of a whole.
Well, I'm just saying if it wasn't wide enough. But there's no definition of the width in the.
No, there isn't. we're dealing with this with another situation too,
Right,
where there's not a specific width of the right-of-way that's been specified.
right.
And the question has arisen that, what do we go by? Because today, it has to be a 50-foot right-of-way.
Right.
The deed was written before 1998, and it didn't give a specific width of the right-of-way. Do we interpret it as a 50-foot right-of-way now?
I think we can do that.
No, I don't feel like that's.
Okay, with no
I
specification.
mean, I'm more thinking like, is it 12 feet or is it 15 feet?
Well, it ends up, the 50-foot right-of-way, it gives people space
Right.
from the edge of the
Right,
right-of-way.
because there has to be the buffer.
Yeah,
on
it's
the
a
other
buffer,
side.
right?
On the,
Most of the time, the driveway has to be 18 feet.
but I'm just looking at our current ordinance, so, you know what I mean, like, so I'm just trying to think how I would look at it and say, well, at the time, it was given for one dwelling,
Yeah.
so.
12 feet.
So then I'm assuming it's 12. Then my assumption process is, well, then it would be expected to at least have been 12 feet. If it was given and there were 2 dwelling units at the time, then I would argue, well, then it doesn't specify, I mean, we have to assume it's gotta be 15 since that's what's required. But that doesn't sound like that's the case, so that's why I was asking, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, you know what I'm saying, is that, and, you know,
Okay, here's another.
and with then that, so that would be a we have a non-conforming piece, right? I'm just saying, right, like if there was gonna be something back there, that would be a non-conforming piece. So then does a change of use would that then be considered an increase in non-conformity?
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Is this a popular question we
Yeah,
can pose to MMA or?
I mean, I'm posing it to you guys, and just what your thoughts are on that. I mean, that's, because, you know, these are the things I'm looking at, and my concerns are, like, any increase to non-conformity. And again, it's not a single use anymore. I mean, you've got 2 uses there.
We got a definition of a minimum common driveway from our ordinances, the width is 15 feet, and then there's a specific, set of standards for gravel and base and all that.
Right.
This doesn't conform for any of the 3 houses.
Right.
As far as,
meeting the minimum standard. You're saying that's grandfathered in based
I
on.
don't know. I mean,
Yeah,
like,
based on it being a right of way.
at the same time, I mean, that would, you're saying you don't meet, it doesn't meet the depth and all that stuff. I mean, we don't really know.
I don't know,
Let's see what
but
they
I mean, it's
come
not
up with.
15 feet wide,
Right.
so that would.
Well, the gravel drive is, in no place was 15 feet, I don't think.
No,
No.
I mean, that house was there before the ordinance were in effect.
Yeah.
These ones.
yeah, but we gotta change the use, so, I mean, that's the issue, when we get a change of use, it sort of triggers a whole bunch of.
And, yeah, we can't increase the non-conformity of a lot. So now you're actually adding like essentially a 3rd use going onto that already non-conforming. Right, I don't know. I'm just throwing out, like, you know, things to talk about, you know.
The fellow that's had his hand up for about 10 minutes over here.
Okay.
Mr. Thibodeau.
I just wondered, you said that he said he Googled the place and there was a lot of automotive salvage going on. And you said, no, there isn't. Jesse can tell you there was all
I just
lot.
stated what I saw on the sidewalk. That's it. That's all I
But
stated.
you never went down back.
Ma'am, I just stated what I saw on the sidewalk. That's it. That's all I said is what I saw on the sidewalk.
And again, that speaks to another issue that we have to talk about, so, I mean, just, you know,
That's another issue.
one thing at a time, for sure.
Mr. Moreau?
And the Google map thing's 3 years old.
Right.
All the vehicles were hauled away a long time ago.
Okay,
They
come on,
looked
wait,
at
no
it.
discussion
Yeah, they're all
between you
up the
guys. Hey,
street.
Mr. Thibodeau,
So if I
please,
can-
stop.
If I can just add this, so definition of use. Now, I can't find single use, but the manner in which land or a structure is arranged, designed, or intended, or is occupied. So intended, to me, seems like that's 2 uses. Because you've got, your intention is living, and then intention is auto work.
The only.
So as a rear lot, it seems to me, just again, quickly looking over was, and if it's saying single use, that to me this turns into a.
If that is the case, then that's a major obstacle, right to start with. So I think we would need maybe some clarification. It does sound like that's what it needs.
And that's what I would suggest
I
us
agree.
get clarification from MMA
Right.
regarding use, so that we're basically understanding
Right.
these definitions accurately.
Yeah. That's simple enough. We can send that out to MMA for a legal opinion on that.
But yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I'm leaning is.
While we're discussing any questions to send to MMA, I mean, if we've got anything else to fire on. I know that looks like
list, but let's keep
Yeah.
going through. I mean, I wanna try to touch on.
How you got that written?
single permitted use definition.
Yeah, well, let's be real specific
You're
about
the
it.
wordsmith,
It's a rear lot with a substandard driveway with an existing dwelling.
And in our ordinance, it says single use.
It just says use. I wanna
And
make
they
sure
wanna,
we understand.
they wanna put in a second, they wanna put in a garage, you know? So does that constitute a second use, or is it a home business?
It's not a home business.
The
It's
home
a home
business has to
business,
be
it's a
within
home
the-
business, we're not even here.
Yeah.
It's home occupation, we're not even here.
Yes.
Right,
That's
there's no
actually,
site plan review.
they deal with Jesse and that's it.
Okay.
They have to, that, if it's a
Okay,
home
so-
occupation,
So it's gotta
it's
be-
not a home occupation.
Okay.
Home occupation is its own thing.
So rear lot with substandard drive, existing dwelling, want to add auto garage.
Does that constitute one single use, or
Yeah, is it?
can it be served by that right away?
Yeah, I think that mention of the right of way is key.
Yep.
You gotta put that in there.
All right. Yeah, the supercharger red.
Alright, so where would we move from here then?
I mean, so, yeah, I mean, that that was access, we want to go on to another issue. I mean, I know I'm not saying we finished it, but just, I think we've got enough things to work on with access right now.
Yeah, but it's,
So you want
if there's,
to just move on, other issues, other
Yeah,
concerns.
yeah.
The next thing.
which would be,
I mean, Nate, you did ask, we did ask for a map showing designated wetlands.
Yes, yeah, I mean, again, on the initial map, we saw that there was there's a pond, but again, and this is why we do the site walk, is so you can get firsthand, seeing it, and my concern is that right behind the garage, it's
Standing water.
standing water.
I mean, within like 10 feet of the building.
Yeah, and I just see that as being, I don't know what the DEP regulations or any of that all are, but it's like,
Well, we need to see if it's actually designated wetland.
right,
I mean, it
or
can
if
be
it's just
surface,
over.
if it's just, seasonal surface water, whatever the
Yeah,
classification
I mean,
is,
so
we
I-
need to know that.
Yeah, so I think,
and how would that be done?
I mean,
Uh,
the applicant's gonna need to, have someone,
Provide us with,
look into the drainage in the soil and if it's wetland or not.
if it's been designated,
It's been-
they're
yeah.
designated by any agency as a wetland.
Right. I mean,
So-
it may not be, it
Is
could
it
just
gonna
be
need to,
a lot of water, but I mean,
When you say somebody to look into, what do you have in mind?
I don't know what that is right now.
Yeah,
But I
it's-
mean, we
it's-
gotta be,
It's
I'm not saying,
whoever kind of a hydrological test. done.
Yeah,
If we're talking standing water near what's gonna be a commercial operation, should have the hydrological test done.
yeah, I don't think we need to start there. I think we need to
We
determine.
need to start to see if it's
Yeah.
designated as wetland.
Right.
I wanna know if it's been designated officially as
like
wetland.
under existing state maps.
On an existing state map.
Yes, there are actually websites, There are sources available. I know, I've seen them with the Watson Woods. Actually, I think Ms. Lane just left, but she's actually submitted some.
No, I have, I think I got a link, I'm gonna, that was something I wanna do, is
Right.
like that, so.
Also mention that the location of this is in a historic village residential.
Mention that to who?
If you go to MMA, get some questions, make sure you tell them the zone.
Well, it's an approved use for that zone, so I don't know, you know, we're gonna, I think we've got some pretty good wording as far as what we need to get from MMA on that access.
Cause I mean, that was, I mean, I would say that was probably one of my biggest concerns was that, you know, we need to know if any of that is designated wetlands and where that line is before we can, you know, that's a piece of information we'll need.
Because that's a whole different set of setbacks and regulations.
You know,
Mr. Nelligan?
I'm just going back to the access you were talking about. You brought it up, Mr. Anderson, about something about a state aid road, or I don't know if Andy did. State aid road and change of use and something like that to the access.
It's coming from your lawyer, actually.
Oh, okay.
But, you know, we need to look into it to see if that's indeed the fact, that a change of use may require a permit from the state DOT as opposed to the town, which would require the permission of the landowner.
So that's access too.
That is an access
That's something,
issue.
Okay.
yeah.
Is that on your list there?
So you wanna add that to the questions?
Yeah, you should.
Let me find, you want me to find the exact?
It's also, you can also ask DOT too.
Or Maya?
Yeah, mile.
May be required.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we need to find out, that's
Yeah.
a major piece there.
Yeah.
A huge piece.
Let me see. Add it to furthermore, I love that word.
When you get done with that, would you mind just reading through what we have so far?
Yeah, so I do have a question I'd like to ask the applicant at some point.
Yes.
Ready to go on.
Yeah, you can do that for a second. I just want to make sure we summarize that before we.
Alright, so for MMA questions, you know, just, single permitted use definition, and the way we've got it worded here is, we have a rear lot with substandard drive with an existing dwelling. They wanna add an auto garage. Does that constitute single use?
I think we should make sure we don't say, we don't wanna add, they wanna change use.
Okay, alright.
Because they're not adding or building anything, it's already there, or we're changing the use of it.
Use. So, with existing dwelling, they want a change of use. Does that constitute single use?
Yeah, or, yeah, does that make it, basically two uses, one being a residential dwelling and one being a place of business?
Okay, I think as long as we have the idea there, I think Lindsay's a good wordsmith too. She'll make it sound a little better than I
Just
do.
dress it up. I mean, I don't.
In addition to that, does Maine DOT require to submit a driveway permit because Maplewood is a state aid?
We might have to
Initially,
ask DOT.
I don't think so, but we'll ask them. I mean, we dealt with this on Watson, I mean,
Yeah, let's.
you know, it
Let's ask
doesn't
them.
hurt to ask.
I wanna find out, because that's a big deal, because if they do, that's, you know.
When you said ask
that's gonna be
DOT,
change course.
so we would just send that off to DOT, not even MMA, I'll just
I
fire an
think
email
we
to
need to
DOT.
ask, yeah, we need to ask DOT. Yeah. Or Lindsay could ask DOT. Right, thank you.
Is that what we, that's what we have, that's what we have.
For access, yeah.
So, Roger, you submitted an application for a change of use for automotive repair. So what, I mean, can you describe to me in your own words what that's, like what you envision that is for you there? What kind of customer, what kind of car work you talking about here on repairs?
Motor changes, transmission changes, brakes, exhausts,
Okay,
just routine maintenance,
okay.
tire changing.
Now, I mean, I know you had a, Jesse, over the cease and desist, right? Like we had,
Yeah.
Okay, so what, Jesse, what did you write that for?
There was noise complaints coming from the neighbors.
Yeah.
Salvaged vehicles where he was stripping vehicles down.
There are actually, Mr. Milligan's got a comprehensive submission here of all.
Oh, I know, that's what I'm trying to hear this from.
Jesse, did you use the
Is that yours,
decibel meter?
Mr. Anderson?
Did you use the decibel meter?
You know, I didn't have to. I sat out there for quite a while and listened, and I could hear him kind of faintly up back in there. I didn't find it at a level that was disturbing or anything.
I mean, that's our standard.
Yeah.
I know David has it and he.
Yeah, I've got it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it wouldn't even read.
Okay.
I stayed out on the public way. I didn't go down to Mr. Milligan's house because he's a lot closer. I didn't go down to the neighbors' houses because they're a lot closer. I didn't want to intrude on anybody's privacy. I kind of wanted to see what it'd be from a public way.
Mhm.
So, I mean, what kind of work were you doing, Mr. Moreau, before then? I mean, were you done?
Before I ceased,
Yeah,
basically the same thing. I was junking out some cars.
dunking out cars. That's not part of your
No,
plan?
that's not gonna be part of my plan. I mean, occasionally, my ramp truck will haul one to the junkyard if it's, classified as DOA.
Right.
But that's not what I'm.
But not junking vehicles?
No. Not dismantling and storage of parts. And that nature.
How many, obviously it depends on the kind of work, but I mean, how many projects would you envision you could handle at once? I mean, you said it was just you,
Just
one
maybe
day.
4 to 5 projects going. Of course, a week or whatever. I didn't know things.
Yeah, at a given time, so
Yeah.
on a given day, there might be a few different things in progress on that.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, my shop's only one, you only put one car in it, so
Prior
there's only one at a time.
to all this going on, were you working longer hours?
No. I get up early. I was probably out there earlier than they would have liked, that I agree with. I'm an early riser. But I don't, usually by 3:30 I'm done. I go up down the driveway, yes I do, but I'm done working. I am allowed to have a private life.
Did you have some other issues you wanted to deal with from the sidewalk?
I mean, obviously, well, there's code issues, but I mean, that's part of getting an occupancy permit for the building, for a business. I mean,
Right.
durable siding, it's gotta be on there and all that stuff. I mean, those are definitely, but those are code enforcement things. I mean, that are required regardless for our ordinance.
On existing buildings that have already been occupied, I don't go in and reissue an occupancy permit if somebody's been there for 15 years.
But in the garage, but in this building, yeah,
Garage,
for a change of
when it's
use?
change of use, I would go in.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the garage.
For the
not
garage.
work.
Right, for the garage. As far as, I mean, just because you can't have an occupancy, couldn't have an occupancy permit without siding on it, according to our ordinance and all that sort of thing, okay? I mean, I'm just kind of throwing out concerns I have right now, but there's nothing in our code in our since unless you're getting fuel delivered, but I mean, the fuel tank was a little, it's a little sketchy. I mean, and that's why, again, but there's nothing really there's nothing in our ordinance that addresses that directly, I don't believe, other than safety and welfare, potentially. That's kind of one of those broad pieces of the ordinance that we have a lot of discrepancy on, but I mean, and this is why I have questions about wetland designation, because again, they have this oil barrel that's in a makeshift dam that's sinking into the mud. I mean, that's a concern no matter what happens there for me, but I don't know how.
Going forward, things can be done to make things correct or the way you want them.
All that kind of stuff, the code stuff, the storage can be remediated if he's going to do it, which he seems to be.
Right.
But the access is really kind of like the kicker.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna have to start, this process is, we're gonna start with that right off the bat, I think, right? I mean, that's where we're at, just working through that.
Unless we've got any other questions that we want to send to MMA. I mean, I think that's where we're at now. Do we have any other things, legal
Would you mind
questions?
if we let the shadow speak for a
Mr. Thibodeau?
He says he only works on 5 cars a day, but he's in and out of the driveway with vehicles 20 to 30 times a day.
Yeah, but I've not seen any restriction on the right of way, and I don't know how we would even address that, like,
But when you put a garage down there and you gotta bring cars in and out, yeah, granted, he goes and gets them and drives them in himself and drives them out himself. Once in a while, some of the others come in and they seem to miss the driveway and go off and get stuck in the mud.
So access is definitely gonna be, something that we need to make sure everything's cleared up.
And if and when the board does, if they approve an application for conditional use or a change of use, it's with conditions. We can place there are many conditions that can be placed. I mean, so there's, it's not, again, but, I don't think we're even close to that point.
Well,
to
we've
even
been
think
trying
about
for
that.
3 years to get this.
But right now, we're dealing with application that's why I specifically asked him what he wanted to do.
And the garage is new.
What he wanted, was why we specifically asked him what he wanted to do and what his plans are. And that's part of that's part of this whole process, and it gets considered. And, but we're not, I think we're pretty far away from, even coming, we still got a lot of fact finding to do here, a lot of stuff to do.
I imagine tonight we will have to table this, pursue more information, and address it again at the next meeting.
Absolutely.
At some point,
Again, let's make sure we don't have any additional questions.
Sure, Cliff.
Well, one thing I want to point out is that this apparently appears to be in a residential area where residents are affected. And Mr. Moreau, although he's probably a crack mechanic and probably would serve the community in great ways, has not proven to be reliable. He's broken laws, he's operated without getting permits, he's near water with hazardous materials. So are we gonna trust him to follow our ordinances and follow the conditions if we go through them? These are things that we have to
I
consider.
think that's what we have to do. There's a procedure set up if he violates the ordinance. We have a code enforcement officer who will be there to watch him, but we're addressing things that really don't need to be addressed right now.
No,
we
I'm
have some
I'm
homework
just
to do here.
stating, you asked if there are any more questions, and I'm just stating, before we end the meeting, that these are considerations. You're in a historic business, village, residential, with residents that are affected by a small business. Will it be a small business? Will it become a salvage yard again? These are big questions because he hasn't been reliable in the past. And it's the same thing we went into with Watson Woods, not to change the subject. Everything was cut, the permit was totally violated,
then don't
done.
change.
You had a question?
Yes, now what do we do when Mr. Mulligan calls in and what's right here in the office and says, makes a complaint and says, making all kinds of noise, blah, 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 but we're right here, talking to somebody.
Yeah, I think that's beyond the purview of the planning board though, you know, I think that does get into code enforcement and as far as, you know, false reports, I don't think we can even address that, you know. I hope, if things like that are done, then, you know, hopefully there would be a way that you would have a redress of grievances. I would think there would be some way, but again, we can't address that here in the planning board. So,
But Cliff, to your point, I mean, I hear you, I mean, I just think like, I'm not even there yet. Like,
No, I
so,
understand,
like,
like,
so
take
far
that,
away
some-
from, everything is gonna get considered. I mean, I think there's a lot of considerations to think about. I think we gotta start with the biggest pieces first, I think, that, you know, start from the outside and see what's happening. And I think, you know, Ms. Moreau, you need to understand that's where we're at, right? I mean, you got a lot of questions still, a lot of concerns. I mean, not trying to delay your process, but we gotta be thorough and getting a lot of information.
The wetland thing.
Yeah, the wetland thing, but that's
the question, what standard is required, you know, to find out if that is actually wetland or standing water, how do we go about that?
that's kind of working to it.
yeah, I think there's a way to find it, that's gonna be better. So I'm just gonna denote that you're gonna figure that out.
Yep.
Wetland, question mark. Okay, so I think we've got, I mean, unless there's some other questions, Ms. Wilson.
I would just like it noted that if you are going to contact, what is it, DOT about that change of use from a state aid road or whatever,
Yes, ma'am.
part of that was that it may require permission from, I don't want whatever your question going to them is for them to assume that I'm all set with this and would gladly give this change of use.
That would be for you to decide, there's no way we would make.
All right, I just wanna make sure.
Yeah, we just wanna know if it's something they say, oh, yes, we need to, we'll need to,
Okay,
we'll need
that's
to look.
fine. I
If that's
just
the
wanted to
case, then it's gonna be,
That's fine.
then they'll be
Just
contacting
wanted to
you.
clarify
Oh, yeah,
because
absolutely.
things,
Absolutely, that's their
that's
deal,
fine.
so, yeah.
Can I ask a hypothetical question of the people who are objecting to this application? If there was a different right of way that didn't come through the yard, would you still have objections to it?
Yes.
Okay.
May I explain why?
Yeah.
This is an individual who has operated a business against, I mean, I have been to the town office many times with no legal permits, with no legal. I bought my property when I did. I am extremely interested, as has been mentioned several times, in the fact that it is a historic building, has served the community in two different capacities, both as a public education building and as a post office. It is in a village area, which I was particularly mindful of when I bought, as far as the fact that it was a rural area with a history to it. I came from a house in Willowbrook, which was on the National Register. I have a long history of owning and living in historic buildings, and a garage that, regardless of what Mr. Winters may say, is extremely noisy and extremely disruptive at times to those of us who live there, does not fit in with the historic district and the residential use that I envisioned when I bought my property. This is not a personal, this is a use, it is a very disruptive element in my life. And even though Mr. Moreau and his wife have been extremely courteous about my dogs, it is with the increased use that this will bring, it means that my dogs will be relegated to a fenced-in yard because of the amount of traffic through the yard.
Okay, all right, so we're at a point here where I think, what I'm gonna do is make a,
I thought Mr. Yell asked both of us. Did you ask the abutters the question you asked?
Yeah.
Yeah, that I was against, yeah, even if there was another
Well, you got it
entrance,
right away.
yeah, because of the noise of the auto garage.
So it's primarily noise.
Yeah, auto lifts, compressors, tire things,
Junk everywhere.
it's noise and the traffic. So air wrench, pneumatic air wrenches, everything. So, yeah, it's just it's the noise on a daily basis. Thank you.
I also, could I,
I think another butter wanted to
Oh, yeah.
speak up.
They're making it sound like it's a main highway.
It
And
is,
it's, no, it's not. It's a road.
it's a
All right,
driveway.
we can't have you discuss
This
this.
gentleman is
speaking, he has the floor.
You guys
Addressing
shouldn't
the
have
board.
read this. They're making it sound like it's a highway. I haven't lived there that long, but I haven't, seen where they're talking about air. I live closer to him than anybody. And I don't hear any, it doesn't bother me with, air guns and everything else. And then they're making it sound like he's on the road, on a main highway. Cars are going in and out every day, and they're not.
All right, so I imagine we will have a public hearing and everybody will be able to speak their mind and lay down their case on this. But as far as right now, I think I'm gonna make a motion that we table this application and we have some information for Sue and we'll probably reschedule you for the next meeting once we get some information back. So,
Oh, I mean, we will reschedule for that.
yeah, I mean, it's probably an automatic thing. So I make a motion to table this application.
Second.
All those in favor? Okay, so it's anonymous. So we're gonna table it for now, we've got some,
Are you guys tabling it to the next?
yes, so then, yeah, we've got some work to do in the interim.
Yeah, I mean, we can't move forward with anything until those are clarified.
Yeah. Mr. Valley.
I have a question about, have you scheduled, your sidewalk?
Yeah, we're gonna do that at the end after we conclude this meeting, we have other business, so we have to do that for you and for the box shop.
Okay.
We'll do that at the end of the meeting. So I believe we're done with you for the evening, Mr. Morrow. We will see you at the next meeting, which is December 17th. Can you make that? Okay, 7 p.m. Jesse?
Can I set something up with Mr. Moreau to turn his air compressor on and make a bunch of noise and go with the decibel meter and get a decibel reading off of it?
Sure, would you be up for that, Mr. Morrow?
Fine.
Set something up with Jesse?
Are
Okay.
the butters okay with this?
Sure.
Well,
Yeah, not that they need to be, but he'll get an accurate reading on some of the noise
When
levels
he's
there.
dismantling vehicles and trailers.
Well, Jesse will be there, he'll ask him to do a few things, so Jesse will figure it out. Okay, so that's it for this application, we'll see folks at the next meeting.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. So as far as other business, just to clue you guys in on what happened last night.
I'm sorry, man.
We've got no worries,
Like
lights,
9:30.
man, lights.
Where's your car, still in there?
Yeah, Stone Island.
You mean the planning board is not the most important thing in your life?
I gotta go back out next Tuesday.
It's just, scheduling sidewalks.
So, yeah, we're gonna schedule the sidewalk for the box shop too. So I just wanted to get that from these guys. So we didn't schedule any sidewalks yet. I wanted to get some information from you guys. I mean, we're looking at either the last weekend this month, sort of a holiday weekend, or the first weekend in December. It would be the 30th, it would be. Saturday the 30th, we have to schedule 2 sidewalks, for Mr. LaValle and for the box shop. We can do them both the same day. I imagine 30 minutes apiece, maybe.
Yeah, we gotta.
Yeah, but I mean, we say we could do it on the same day, but how far apart is the process?
Well, they're both.
Yeah, as far as it's still.
It's the large.
Yeah,
Sorry,
so
Maplewood is, this is
Yeah,
probably
that's
near
what
my
I
mill.
mean.
Maybe we should do a
Yeah.
different day,
And then
do
the
the
box
box
shop
shop.
is up
I
there.
can't, I can't, I wish I did, I don't know, a full day.
No, we need to, I think we start at 8 o'clock in the morning.
I don't like
Get it
the
done.
attitude, man.
Well, that's,
I'm just.
No,
December 7th, I work at the town hall from 8 to 10.
right, so November 30th, all right, so the thing, I mean.
Besides the other 90 with the work.
That's the way I look at it.
If there's no power, there's no power.
I hear you, but, okay, so,
Thank you.
we're at dark, it's dark at 4:30. All right, I know you can't make any sidewalks during the week, so it has to be Saturday. It has to be. So
That's Thanksgiving Day, we're
Hey,
probably
can
gonna
I
be both
just, I
probably.
just want,
No,
can
probably
we
gonna
carry
be working
conversations
that day.
outside, because it gets muddled with the microphone. Yeah, just,
Excuse me, guys, do you mind taking your conversation outside?
It's on the microphone, sorry.
well, it's just, there's like so many conversations going on, it's hard to miss.
So if we do it Saturday and we do it quick, I mean, you know, the box shop is right by, it's sort of by your house, I mean. you know.
Yeah, box shop is-
But the other one, Maplewood, you know, it is across town, right? It is, it's on the other end of town.
Yeah, right.
But otherwise, we're gonna dedicate 2 separate days, you know?
I hear what you're saying.
You wanna earn that $50
But if
maybe?
if we're efficient.
Isn't it 30? It's 2 different sidewalks.
Is it? Yeah, oh man, you get that in one day, come on.
Yeah, now it would be better for you
Yeah.
to make it
my sidewalk in the afternoon around 2:30, that'd be perfect.
Well, leave it, I'll deal with whatever, I'll let.
I'm whatever works, I just assume try to do them like
Yeah.
early and bang, bang.
I
done,
agree,
be
if
done
we're
before-
gonna do both in one day, like, get
I
it
know.
done early.
Yeah.
10 is too late.
Right,
Yeah.
okay, so, pick it.
You got an under 1-year-old, I'm up at 5.
Right, so do you wanna do the box shop first, it's right by your house, or do you wanna end at the box shop?
Either way.
And at the box shop.
Alright, so we'll do Mr. LaValle first, can we do your site walk early Saturday morning?
On what day?
I get up at 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 3
Yeah.
o'clock too.
So that
You
would
wanna
be-
come at 3 o'clock in the morning? That'd be fine.
It would be November 30th, what is the, at 8?
Man, that's Thanksgiving week.
I know, and otherwise we gotta wait till December 7th, and that's Pearl Harbor Day.
Yeah.
We celebrate
birthday.
more.
Yeah, right. You know, and then I don't think we have any snow coming, but we know it's not, I'm pretty sure.
Ain't an issue for
No,
these.
No, but if
wait
it's-
for subdivision.
If it's on the ground, it's a pain in the ass. It's,
I
it doesn't mean we have to
Listen,
cancel.
I know you're gonna be away, Andy, that weekend?
I don't know, maybe.
I've got family in town that weekend, so we're.
Andy, come to my house for Thanksgiving.
7.
Come to my house.
The 7th?
That way you'll be local.
Alright, so Nate says the 7th,
It's just my wife and kids.
Nate says the 7th, December 7th.
If you want me to do minutes,
Oh,
I'm here
Lindsay's
from
not
8
here
to
the
10.
7th, yeah.
That's the only issue.
Okay, sorry, so
I can come after 10 a.m.
I know, but we don't, we.
The date doesn't really matter to me, if it's a Saturday at 8.
Okay,
We're still-
so November 30th, 8 a.m., Mr. LaValle, can we do
Could you
yours?
make it at 7 a.m.?
We can't,
I
we can't
could,
wait till
I
that.
could.
Because we wanna be done,
Okay.
we wanna be done by 11 or 10:30, the
Well,
whole process.
I do work, and I have to be in at 9 o'clock, and there's
How you gonna run? Oh,
half an hour time to get to work.
Right.
And, okay, what about, let's say halfway, 7:30.
7:30, can we do 7:30?
7:45. That's as good as you
Seven
will
thirty
get.
is fine.
7:30.
7:30.
7:30, November 30th. Alright, I imagine we won't need very long, I would think 30 minutes would cover it.
Yeah.
I would think so. You know, there's not a whole lot that we have to see on the site there. And I would say the same for the box shop, there are some things we have to see, but not a whole lot.
So what time you wanna make it to the box shop? It's a 40-minute drive.
40 minutes, huh?
Half an hour to 40
No,
minutes.
it's not.
Yes, it is.
It's not even 20 minutes.
He goes through Limerick.
Where are you going?
Actually, he
I know how
he
long
drives
it takes
by
to
my
get from the
house.
fire station all the way to Poppins Lake.
Alright.
So I mean, does the second one happen at
8:30?
7:30, do we do it at 9?
I don't think we even need that long. If it's 7:30,
Nine is
Mr.
good.
LaValle's, I think
Here
we
we
could
go,
be there by,
8.
we could be there by 8:30.
Quarter past 8:30.
I would think.
Plan on an hour, we gotta give ourselves a minimum.
Yeah, you don't wanna.
Yeah, I don't wanna feel rushed.
Right,
Yeah.
alright, so what do you say, pick it then, 7:30, Mr. LaValle's, and then
No.
what?
9.
9 at the box shop.
Box shop.
Yeah.
So 9 a.m. at the box shop, November 30th. Took a lot to get that coordinated, but.
Okay. I'm all set.
Alright, so we'll see you at 7:30 a.m.
November 30th.
November 30th.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Alright. November 30th. 7:30.
Is the mic still on?
Everything's on.
Turn it on.
Alright, well, is there any other?
Adjourn.
Yeah, is there any, so we do have, you guys, we all have some
Yeah.
signatures.
Okay.
We have some signatures on the maps from last night.
So
I don't know if you're familiar with what happened last night. Lots of people showed up with the maps to sign. It was only Andy and I and Cliff. Cliff refused to sign the maps. They needed 3 signatures. So we need, actually, we got all 4 of us, we all 4 voted for it. Are you guys opposed to signing the maps? You wanna look at them first? The map, we went over it, the maps look good.
Yeah, this is put
They
it
got the
back.
seal, they got the
These are-
signature, they got the
Yeah,
conditions
so all
clearly
the-
written on them, everything.
When it's a set of 2.
Yep.
So you'll see the signature part on the first page, and there's like maybe 4 or 5 of them that have to be signed.
So, what, the maps?
Yeah, you have to sign multiple maps, because it's going in different, it's going to
This was the
York
one
County
we started
Registry of
signing.
Deeds and
This was.
other places.
We signed front, but, you guys wanna take a minute, they listed the conditions here, we went over them, they're pretty thorough, it's sealed and dated,
You guys signed?
yeah, if you wanna take a minute and look at it, go ahead, if you have any questions.
I don't know the address of that first. I'll get that from you later.
Yeah,
Plug that into my GPS.
Oh, sure, there. I don't know if that's
Just take another week sign part, okay?
I doubt it.
So this one is
It's just a format. Yeah, yeah.
Proposed driveway.
For now, huh?
Shared driveway here on our one here. This one goes back to this.
We gotta sign all the maps, everyone?
From what I understand.
I think some of these were ours and.
So this is a set right here, and
Oh,
you just sign
sign
the
that
first
top
page.
one.
And
Yeah,
then
another set.
you have to do all the
Alright,
sets.
yeah, so, yeah, there's one set and then there's another set.
I think 4.
That's the landscape plan, right?
Okay.
Okay.
What this was, it was, I forget, there's a, they couldn't fit everything in there. So, I guess we're having a journey yet, but that's what those are my notes as what we need to do for MMA and DOT. Is that as simple as just sending an email to them? I think we could probably, I know for a fact we can go through the Watson Woods application and find, contact information directly for DOT. There
Well, I
was,
might just give them a call to the number and ask them if
Right.
who's the contact person.
okay.
Can I?
Sure, yeah. Yeah, whatever you want. Can you make, okay.
Get my pen out. Got the blue today.
Same thing with the 4 copies that we have to sign.
I'm good to sign this one now.
You probably don't want this.
Oh man, yeah, yesterday, so I get out there, down, barge my car off, and like, they only drive some years to be outside, right? And they stopped after Thanksgiving, so I have man practice on Tuesdays, so usually it's a half day for him, so nothing puts on. Anyway, I was brought out for 3:30, he was going to go, so I got to ride with him early in the morning. Dropped off at the boat, went out there, I got out there, and then we got a message that the trip's canceled because the barge is broke down. But I'm already out there.
Thank you. Do you want your copy of the extra?
I used to, yeah, I might as well, I've been saving them, so I'll just continue to do it, November.
Is there anything in this that I need to take care of administrative wise?
No, I mean,
And
that's
yeah,
just what
thank
they
you.
reviewed
One more
yesterday, so if
signature.
you want a copy of it and,
refuse.
most of it, I'm gonna email you guys everything.
Yeah, I just
And,
wanted to,
Nate, you
without
got-
looking through, didn't want
Just
to.
check
Yeah,
the
so
decibel
some-
meter in the
I
battery.
gathered some of you like
Right.
You got 2 more there.
Hey, Jesse, if it's all possible, it'd be great if they give me permission to go on their property and do it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
You know, I tried to stop Mr. Mulligan and see if I could schedule the time so it's appropriate for everybody for me to get down there and be able to do it.
Right.
Alright, those are signed.
Alright, so everything's signed, so I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Alright, meeting adjourned.